and we should just be about good to go. Well, so do we just jump straight into it? Okay, so YouTube's live. So welcome, everybody. Marine Layer Podcast, Sunday Night Live, 7 p.m. Pacific, every single Sunday, both on our Instagram and our YouTube. If you're watching on Instagram and you're not subbed to our YouTube, go over to our YouTube page, Marine Layer Podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell. If you're watching on YouTube, do the same with our Instagram. If you're not already following, go head over to our Instagram. All of our socials at Marine Layer Pod. Hit follow and don't miss anything we do. So, yeah, is the offense fixed?
Is it fixed? I don't know if I'm quite there. Is it taking steps forward? Absolutely.
Fixed is a loose term, I'll say. Loose term. I will say it's quite a coincidence that the Mariners have arguably their best offensive week after Brant Brown goes. Now, however, this is also the first time they played the Angels this season, and the Angels are a special kind of terrible. So you take everything with a grain of salt. Luckily, though, it's not murderer's row of pitching the next week and a half. So, we'll get a better sense. The offense will obviously look better against worse pitching staffs. Royals have a decent pitching staff, but they don't strike out the world, which is what the Mariners want to see. But ultimately, I think we get a decent idea, maybe less thinking or something. We're going to need to see some more. But the first 3 games of a quote-unquote new era were a success in the eyes of the Mariners.
Yes, they were. And there's a good chance that they'll go into Oakland and look fairly similar because the A's, as we all know, are also not very good. So I think the real test starts when they start to play the Royals and as series kind of start to move along. Yeah, June's a pretty easy slate for the Mariners. This is their easiest month of scheduling, I would say, because yes, you have the Royals next weekend, but again, you just play the Angels, you play the A's, then you play the White Sox, you have the Marlins this month. There's a lot of easy games. So if the offense is going to take advantage of an easy schedule and start putting up a lot of runs, great. But I would watch very carefully what they do against, let's say, the Royals, let's say the Rangers. Oh, hello. Fireworks on.
Fireworks. That's a first one.
Yeah.
I think there's a setting on your phone or on your, there must be a setting somewhere that's turned on. But you know what? Yeah, I like it. If you're watching on Instagram, you can see that Lyle is having some special effects. I like it.
Yeah, I am.
To celebrate a sweep.
Exactly. So I was going to say, I would watch against the Rangers closely. I would watch against the Guardians closely. I would watch against the Royals closely. Those will probably be some good tests. Wins at the end of the month, too. And that's not to say that if the Mariners have good offensive showings against some of the lesser teams, that things aren't starting to turn around. These are all big league teams. All the games count the same. But if you're looking at what the offense could do, say, late into the season or into October, I think what they might start to do against some of these teams that are going to be competitive here in the coming weeks will be a pretty good test.
Even the White Sox?
No, I said the White Sox do not qualify as that.
Right. Next week.
This is what I mean. Like their June schedule, this is their chance to really, really build some ground in the AL West. Because, again, a month in which you play the Angels, the A's, the White Sox, and the Marlins, take advantage, man. Because you've got this on a silver platter for you right now.
Yeah. Well, guys, you know the drill here on our Sunday Night Live. If you want us to answer a question, you can shoot us a question on Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, send us a question on YouTube. If you really want us to answer your question 100%, go over to our YouTube, click on the live stream, and send us a super chat. We will answer your question, and we'd really appreciate it if you guys wanted to do that. Just to bring it back to the front, now that we're booted up and we have people watching on both. Again, Marine Layer Podcast, Sunday Night Live, every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific. We're live on both Instagram and YouTube. If you're watching on either platform and you're not following or subscribed to the other, make sure to go do that and follow us on all of our social media accounts at Marine Layer Pod. So what would you think then, as the Mariners are right now? They have a 4-game lead in the division over the Rangers. At the end of this month, I don't know the Rangers' schedule for this month, but let's say the Rangers go 500 this month. What's an acceptable lead by the end of this month, would you say? Like, to really announce yourselves as we're contending for this division.
If by the end of June, because it's a 4-game lead right now, would you say 7, 6, somewhere around that range?
7 to 8. For context, the Rangers at this point last year had a 10-game lead.
Mm-hmm.
So it might not be quite that because the Mariners might not be that good, but you don't have to be that good to win a bad division. You just need to be good enough.
Dude, the Rangers have a tough schedule this June. I just pulled it up. So this week they're going to play the Tigers, a team that's not elite, but they're competitive enough. Then they play the Giants. Then they play the Dodgers. Then they have the Mariners. They do play the Mets at home, and the Mets, as we know, are not playing very well. But then they play the Royals. Then they go to Milwaukee the month before in Baltimore. That's a tough schedule. That is much tougher than what the Mariners have. So yes, the Mariners have a serious chance to capitalize here in June. And yeah, I just said 6 or 7. Now, after seeing that Rangers schedule, I think you're right. I think more like 8 or 9 is like, look, 6 to 7 would be good. 8 to 9 says, oh, you better take serious precautions when playing the Seattle Mariners, because that would signal we're getting to the All-Star break and they've got this division with a firm grip.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. So I think that'd be the sweet spot. We'll obviously take more if the Mariners want to reel off another 20-5 month like they did in August. I don't think Lyle and I or many of you will complain if they want to go ahead and do that. Let's get to some questions. We can kick it off here on YouTube. Steve has a question. If the Mariners make a move for Kyle Tucker or Vlad Guerrero or just a bat, hopefully since the Astros are spiraling down, what do we think would be a price point for those two guys?
For Kyle Tucker, I don't know. We're talking about a lot. And it's, like we've said, it's hard to package specific names just because there's some orgs that value guys more than others. You just don't know based on the team. I think it's safe to say Tucker would cost a lot more than Vladdy. I would say with Vladdy, if we were going to try to ballpark something, I would say
Harry.
I would say like one guy closer to the top end of your prospect list and one guy a little further down in the top 10, something like that.
So just 2 for Vladdy. It wouldn't cost more.
For
I feel like
I
feel like you could go one high for Vlad Guerrero Jr. with a year and a half of control and the money he's owed next season. So you'd probably go Harry Ford, right? At this point, it's Harry Ford seems like the most likely to get dealt at this point because of having Cal Raleigh entrenched at the catching position at the big league level. And you also happen, as we've seen this week, Mitch Garver caught. So we have that invested at the big league level. So Harry's one. And then you sit a little bit further down. So we go past Felny and Celestin, who I don't think anybody wants to trade. He's also your number 4 prospect. So you're not up there. And then you would go, I don't know. So you maybe on the low end, you'd throw Michael Morales in there and then someone in between that.
Well, I was going to say Michael Arroyo too.
Yeah, Michael Arroyo. Maybe you go Laz. With Laz would hurt, but Laz is probably right in that middle, like the bottom of your top 10 prospects. He's right there in the bottom half of that.
No, I think people have Laz higher than that now. He's in the top 5 of the Mariners prospects. I would be shocked if the Mariners were willing to deal him away. I bet, like, I'm not saying he's untouchable or anything like that, but that doesn't feel like a guy the Mariners are exactly itching to move on from.
Right. Okay, so let me repivot to that because I just pulled up Pipeline's top 30. So they have Laz at 4 and Felny at 5. I'd say you go past those two, right? So if we have Harry, right? Harry would be at the top. And then it would probably be at this point. So Locklear's at your number 8 prospect. Michael Arroyo's your number 9 prospect. I don't think your Clase is necessarily getting traded for. Who's your number 10 prospect currently would be a part of that trade. I don't think. If he was, I'm not sure he carries the value for him to just be that piece in the bottom half of your top 10 prospects. So at that point, then it would probably be Johnny Farmelo or Ty Pete.
Something like that. Yeah. Or maybe it looks something like, again, maybe it's like Ford, Arroyo, and Clase, something like that.
Perhaps.
Because again, we're still talking about, again, that feels like actually a pretty decently fair trade if you're talking for Vladdy, because you're still talking about a first baseman that is not the same hitter he once was. He is owed a lot of money. He has no defensive value. He has no value on the base paths. So you're not getting your farm system gutted for a year and a half of a guy who, yes, he's a good bat, but isn't an elite bat at this point and is owed a decent amount of money next year.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. Now, Kyle Tucker, look, we're gonna campaign that idea till the end of time at this point. However, what would that cost? I don't even know. Like a lot. You just heard what we put together as a package for Vladdy. You probably have to. I don't want to say double that, but there would be a couple of other guys that you would lose that would hurt.
Yeah, it would be probably 2 out of your top 5 at least.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Let's. He is the American League MVP right now, so he's doing okay for himself. The Astros, though, are not. So I would say I hate to see it, but I don't.
Who in here does? I would say nobody.
There's probably someone lurking.
You think?
Yeah, probably. You never know. People always lurk in the shadows until they come out.
I guess that's possible. Let's see. What other questions we got? Somebody asked on Instagram a couple minutes ago. Let me find his name so we give him a right shout out and all. It's farther up than I thought. Okay, I'll get the name in a second. But the question is this team a playoff team right now? I would say yes, because they're leading the West by 4 games.
Right. Yeah, leading the West by 4 games. Like, if the West is bad, then the Mariners don't need to be an amazing team to be a playoff team. They would be in the dance because the rest of their division stunk. I can throw it all the way back to 2006. It's a different format, different divisions, but the World Series champion St. Louis Cardinals in 2006 won 82 games because their division was atrocious. That's sometimes all you need.
Right. Yeah, that question was from Maximo MLB 15. So shout out to him. Yeah, I'd say they're a playoff team. They've certainly got the rotation to be a playoff team. And again, offense it's clicking in the right direction. It's not all the way there, I don't think, but with JP Crawford now really finding his swing again. Ty France over the last not just 15 games, honestly, his last month has been hot. And then you throw in Luke Raley too. You've got guys starting to come around. Now it's not the whole lineup yet. There's still some guys you need to get going. Obviously, Julio's been really good the last couple weeks, but obviously, like that OPS has still got to jump up a lot higher than where it's at. You need Cal to get going again. You need a couple others to get going again. So it's not all the way there, but it's getting there.
Let's see. Let's try and get another one on Instagram. Here's a good one. Sam asks, is the Paul Sewald trade right now a win for the Mariners?
Yes, of course. Look, everybody loves Paul Sewald, us included, but you're talking about getting 3 guys back that are all currently on the big league roster less than a year after the trade happened. And Josh Rojas, not only did he get off to a great start with the bat, I just tweeted about it this afternoon. I don't think people are talking enough about his defense. I look up today, and all of a sudden, he's got 5 outs above average at third base. That's in the 96th percentile of the league. We love Gino here too, but if you're just talking about the numbers, Gino's back to being a league average defender and a below league average hitter. This trade has been a win for the Mariners. A win, especially because, again, I know Canzone's not lighting the world on fire right now with his bat, but this is a guy that they really believe in can be an impact bat long term for the Mariners. So you factor in those guys, you factor in Ryan Bliss. Yes, it's a win.
Even if the trade was just for Josh Rojas, I think it would be a win at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you also happen to you're going to have Ryan Bliss for the next 7 years if he stays in your organization that long. And same with Dom. Or the next 6 for Dom. That's pretty good. Checks out. And they don't need to be all-stars for you to technically win the trade because Paul Sewald will be a free agent in T-4 months. Right? And then it's up to the Diamondbacks, who are a 500 team right now, whether or not they want to pay a 30-plus-year-old reliever market rate for a good arm. Right? Probably not.
And for all we know, outside chance, but a chance, Paul Sewald's back in Seattle in 2 months. So,
or in 4 months if he wants to come back in free agency.
Yeah, that too. So yes, they won the trade. Let's see what else we've got. Let's go back to YouTube for a second.
Vlad would never. Here's one from Felipe. Vlad would never accept to not play first base all the time as one Gold Glove and takes immense pride in playing defense. Well, he played third today.
Yeah. What was
Shockingly. Some people were really shocked he ended up at third base today, but he did play third today.
Mm-hmm.
So not impossible. I don't want him playing third because I don't think he's a very good defender.
Yeah. If he's not playing first base, he's going to be DHing. He'd split time between the two spots. Although I got to wonder, to be honest, I know we've just talked about Vladdy a little bit here on this live stream. The more Ty France keeps hitting, the less likely it is that they would trade for a first baseman, which is a good thing. Not only is Ty France loved here, not only do we love Ty France, but that is one less position you have to worry about in terms of filling the void offensively if he continues to hit. We may talk about this a little bit more on Wednesday's podcast, but I cooked up an idea this weekend the more I started to think about it, and I sent it to TJ, and I'll leave it for all you guys to think about a little bit too. I all of a sudden would not be shocked if the Mariners at this rate go a route like this. Come the trade deadline, could the Mariners' offensive roster look as follows? Mitch Garver becomes the backup catcher, plays a couple times a week, and faces left-handed pitching to optimize his strengths. Ty France stays at first. You call up Tyler Locklear, assuming he continues to hit in Tacoma. Him and Ty split time between first base and DH, and then the position you trade for is a corner outfielder. All of a sudden, I think that could make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it would, if Tyler Locklear is ready.
Mm-hmm.
If he is, which I think at some point this summer he will be, because he went to Tacoma and is hitting the ball insanely hard. So it's only a matter of time for him as you predicted. I kind of like that idea. Is there a big, and off the top of your head, is there a bigger inventory of corner outfielders available?
Well, it depends on how big you want to splash. What are we going to keep saying?
Okay, throw Kyle Tucker out. Obviously, yes.
Okay, yes. But there's other guys we talked about on that episode that we did in terms of corner outfielders. If you want to splash, you can look at Luis Robert. Comes with concerns, but you can look there. You can look at Brent Rooker. If you want to take a step down, but buy low on somebody who you believe can bounce back, there's Randy Arozarena.
Right.
Look at, again, I don't know if the Kerry Carpenter trade happens or it makes ideal sense for the Mariners considering he's kind of a platoon bat, but somebody like him. I know Tommy Pham just had his antics at the plate today with some crazy post-game comments, but he is hitting.
If they trade for Tommy Pham, we know that if the Mariners ever get in the fight that we hope for once a season, you have the guy.
Right. So again, these are steps down. So it's all about how big you want to make a splash at the deadline. Right. Do you want to go for a Luis Robert? Do you want to go for a Brent Rooker? Or could it look somebody more like a Tommy Pham? It all depends on what the Mariners feel like they need.
I'm in for Tommy Pham. I think that'd be fun. Yes. Even if he's not. Yeah. No, I don't know how good he is.
But to answer your question, I think there's going to be plenty of corner outfielders available. Again, I know he's not off to the greatest start, and he's starting to hit a little bit better. I would be down for a Randy Arozarena trade it, and assuming it's not going to cost a ton. No?
Just disappointing suggestion in the YouTube comments that doesn't play corner outfield, by the way, so they're not trading.
I don't even have to scroll down to know. Oh, there it is. From Seth Johnson on YouTube, Abe Toro. TJ, you need to accept.
Does he play corner outfield? Could he? He probably could play corner outfield.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Imagine if Tommy Pham and JP Crawford throwing jump punches in a brawl. I don't know if I can imagine that. Let's hope they don't get in a total brawl like that, or maybe a dust up.
Yeah. Again, though, like say a Arozarena, say the Rays shop him. Would you be down for that? I would be.
Yes, certainly.
So there's guys out there.
Probably could use as much as we love Mitch, they could use a more surefire right-handed outfield bat that's name is not Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah. And that could happen. So again, I would start thinking about that, people. Assuming Ty France continues to hit, and I really hope he does because we're pulling for him big time. That paired with Locklear hitting, And again, because TJ, you keep talking about, and you're right for where the Mariners might be at right now. You keep saying, well, he doesn't have a spot on the team right now. If you move Garver to the backup catcher role, and he plays a couple times a week and sees lefties play to his strengths, every now and then he could still DH too. But then you bring up Locklear with the idea that him and Ty France split time between first base and DH, but that doesn't take playing time away from Ty. It gets Locklear a chance to play regularly. That might be your best offensive roster going forward. It really might, especially if you bring in an outfield bat from the outside.
Yeah. Here's a trade idea. This is from Lions on YouTube. Mariners get Brent Rooker, Austin Adams, and Abe Toro. The A's get Jonathan Clase, Johnny Farmello, Michael Arroyo, and Logan Evans. That seems like a bit of an overpay on the Mariners side. I know Rooker has all those years of control, and I'm, especially on the podcast, was a little skeptical about what the price would be for him if he's available because he has so much control. But here's the feeling I have. If he's actually available, I don't know if the price is that high.
Yeah.
Like in a vacuum, his price is high because he's a 170 plus WRC plus bat who has 4 years of control. Usually those guys are pretty expensive, but when the A's trade someone, the A's are trading them for a reason, and they don't really have much leverage.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it would cost that much to give up all of that for Rooker. And I know Alex or Lions on YouTube as he is throwing in other pieces, but to give up Carmelo and Logan Evans and you throw in somebody like Michael Arroyo, that feels like a lot for. Look, Brent Rooker's awesome, and he'd be a really, really good addition to the roster. But for somebody that hasn't had a whole ton of sustained success in the big leagues, that feels like a bit much. I'm not saying it would cost nothing. That would be a pretty big haul for Rooker, I think.
Let's see. Why would we want Toro back? Cade says that on Instagram. That's a question I continue to ask. Thank you, Cade.
Cade, all I have to say is you must be new here.
If you are new, welcome.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Now that we're halfway through this, Lyle, let's just remind everybody, Marine Lair Podcast, Sunday Night Live. We're live right here on YouTube and Instagram every Sunday night at 7 o'clock. If you're watching on Instagram, not sub to the YouTube, go head on over and subscribe to our YouTube, Marine Lair Podcast on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, head on over to Instagram, give us a follow. Follow our other social media accounts at Marine Lair Pod. If you really want us to answer your question, head on over to YouTube and send us a super chat, and we'll be sure to answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Lions on YouTube says, "How did Lyle know my actual first name?" Well, I think you follow us on a lot of different places. So on other platforms, you've got your name on there. So I try and remember. I do my best. We do our best to remember people. So anyway, what other questions do we have? Let's see. We may never lose again, says Spencer Harkins on Instagram. Well, I like that. I like that mindset.
That works
You
out.
can sign me up for that. Let's see what else. Steve on YouTube asked about Cole Tucker throwing a scoreless inning. How did he do it throwing only eephus pitches? Well, we did ask Cal Raleigh back in spring training how many home runs he thinks he'd hit in a JV baseball season. Cal said 10. TJ goes 10, very deservedly. We're saying, Cal, you just hit 30 in a big league season. You're hitting 10 in a JV baseball season. Cal said, well, it might be too slow of pitching. So to that point, with Cole Tucker throwing a scoreless inning, some guys aren't able to just square up balls that are being lobbed over the plate. That's probably what happened with Cole Tucker. He's throwing 45 miles an hour, and guys rolled over.
And I'd like, now that we're talking about Cole Tucker, to bring up the point. First of all, he's an awesome dude. Did some content with us in the spring. Super nice guy. But just to put it in full perspective, remember, for those of you who aren't aware of this fact, that the Mariners offered Cole Tucker a coaching position in AAA that he, again, turned down because he knew he had major league opportunities with the Los Angeles Angels. So just to tell you where the two teams are in their current states of affairs, one offered Cole Tucker a coaching position, another Cole Tucker's on the 26-man roster.
Right. True. Let's see. What else we got? Cade on Instagram says, yeah, there's a lot of trade talk on here, and that's fine. Again, we're here to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. But he said, I want Bichette the most. The profile just doesn't really feel like a match. So I'd encourage any of you that haven't listened to our podcast from not this past Friday, but the previous Friday, where we listed out and dove in on all the potential big name trade backs and who the Mariners could acquire. We talked about Bo Bichette at decent length. And just between the fact he's not really hitting the ball that well this year, he's going to cost possibly more than Vladdy. He swings at a ton of first pitches, chases a lot, doesn't walk a ton. I don't know if it makes the most sense for the Mariners.
Out of a position of need, though, for some people it might, because as we talked about on Friday's episode, second base is a black hole still. And if Bo Bichette, who up until this year started had an excellent track record of hitting, consistent year after year after year, you knew exactly what you were getting. Maybe he regresses a little bit as he ages, but that profile at second base would be real nice if he turned it around and started hitting. Now, out of all teams and places for him to go to and turn it around offensively, the Mariners would probably be the most surprising if he actually did it. Hardest place to hit, far away from everything. So might not play into his strength, but some people are willing to take the risk to upgrade a position like that, because as they tried this offseason with 30-year-old Jorge Polanco, as of right now through 2 months, it has not worked out.
I also don't think they're giving up on Polanco by the trade deadline either. Personally, I would
Probably not. Probably not. A lot of things can change in 2 months, but I'm with you. Probably not.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully, like you talked about on Friday's podcast, which again, go check it out. There's still a chance Polanco can turn this thing around, guys. TJ gave a pretty good synopsis on a comparison between Jorge Polanco and somebody else who found a new home at second base, which was Marcus Semien, who many forget did not start well with the Rangers. First few months, he really struggled, and then he turned it around. Is Polanco guaranteed to do that? No. Could he? Because he's been such a great bat in his career? Yeah, for sure.
Could be. But then the other guy I compared him to was Colton Wong. So
right.
Two polar opposite stories. Let's hope for the Semien route, because Marcus Semien's sentence has been excellent. Yeah, I think this is a good transition. I don't know how to pronounce this username on YouTube. Starts AJ, I'll say on YouTube. Thank you for sending in this question. I think it's relevant as to what happened this week. Our guy Gabe Spire goes on the IL, and the Mariners bullpen continues to get thinner. So AJ throws in a proposal that Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals is his dream trade target. I assume it's him. It's dream trade target. And the cards seem like they match up well with the Mariners. So that could be one. How much control does he have? Do we know?
Double check, but I believe 1.5 years as of right now.
Okay.
And I will say, to your point on YouTube, assuming AJ, assuming that's his first name. So I was talking to Jason Churchill this weekend. He was doing stats for the Fox broadcast for Aaron Goldsmith and AJ Pierzynski this weekend. So Jason Churchill is, I'm sure you guys know, he's a friend of the pod. He's a friend of ours. We got to catch up a little bit. And Jason Churchill said the exact same thing that AJ is saying here in the YouTube comments. Churchill said, Ryan Helsley would be toward the top of my wish list in terms of trade targets, because the Mariners need another lockdown bullpen arm. And Churchill was saying, look, anything you can get out of Gregory Santos this year is a plus. But at this point, how much can we bank on him to pitch? I know the target range for a return is July now, but we still have to wait and see. He still has to get back on the field. So Churchill was saying, yeah, go get Helsley. And then imagine this bullpen next year. I think we've talked about this before. Then next year, your bullpen by May or June is Andres Munoz, Ryan Helsley, Matt Brash, and Gregory Santos. Oh, and Gabe Spire and Taylor Saucedo. Yeah, I'm good with that. And you know what? 1.5 years of a reliever, as good as Helsley is, should not cost you the world.
2.5.
Okay, so it costs a little more. But even still, I think that I don't think it would cost you as much as people probably have pinned in their heads. It's not going to cost Cole Young or Harry Ford. That's just not what a reliever demands in a trade.
Right. At this point, though, if they are going to overpay, they're probably going to have to at some point, because the current bullpen, it's just not deep enough with the upside arms that they need to win, especially at the back end. Like they at this point, to succeed, they're really going to have to ride Sauce Stanek and Munoz every time they're going for a win. And what we talk about is not just when they win, but it's also when they're losing and trying to keep the game close. They don't have the right now consistently fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh and eighth relievers to keep the game consistently within reach for this offense to come up. So at this point, again, you hope for Gregory Santos to come back, you trade for Ryan Helsley, and you bring Logan Evans up. Is that enough? I think it might be enough. It might be.
I might throw Troy Taylor into that mix too, which I'm sure everybody does not know his name yet. He started in high A. Now he's in double A. He's got really good stuff. He is not allowed to run yet in double A. Short sample size, but college arm, that's another guy who you may see get yanked up, or maybe around the All-Star break, maybe in August. If he keeps pitching like this, you may see him too. So yes, they're going to have to maneuver some things around in the bullpen. But again, if Logan Evans comes up, maybe Taylor comes up, you make one trade for a real bullpen arm, and on top of that, if you can get Santos back, if you can get him back, then that's like a really good bullpen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So could you add Helsley? Absolutely. Would it make a lot of sense to add him? Absolutely. Again, dream on that bullpen for next year. And because Helsley has 2.5 years of control, you have it for multiple years. There is no bullpen in baseball that would be better than that, assuming everybody's healthy and everybody's at their best. If you have Munoz, Helsley, Brash, Santos, that's insane. That would be insane. Oh, and I keep leaving out Gabe and Sauce in that too. That's an insane bullpen.
I will say we can dream as much as we can about next year, but the Mariners also need to win this year too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do. And Helsley would help this year.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else do we got here. Tanner Scott Lyons says, Alex, right? Alex?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Alex Lyons says Tanner Scott is my dream target for high leverage right now. That'd be another good one. That'd be another good one.
Yes, it would. And AJ just said on YouTube too. Yeah, Troy Taylor's been nails in Arkansas. Good call. Yeah, he has been nails. So I would keep an eye on him if I were you guys looking for potential prospects that could help later in the year. I bet you he's one of them. So what else?
Let's see. Was Cabby for Rayleigh a win-win for both sides? Was Cabby for Rayleigh a win-win for both sides? Seems like it so far, and those trades are rare.
Yeah, what's Cabby doing exactly right now? Okay, for baseball reference, 0.8 WAR, 91 OPS plus, 658 OPS. Yeah, Cabby's been okay. Rayleigh's been a win for the Mariners. Yeah, now he didn't start great, but where would the offense be right now without Luke Rayleigh? He's got the home run today. He's swinging it great the last month. He's certainly swinging it great the last few weeks. You could argue it's a win for both sides. Maybe the Rays feel like that having a utility infielder is something that they really needed, but I think the Mariners are happy they made that trade. That's for sure. I was happy when they made it at the time, and I'm still happy they made it now.
Cabby's been worth 1.1 Fangraphs wins this year, 95 WRC plus. I believe he has 20 steals. Yeah, 20 steals right now.
The stolen bases thing for Cabby's big.
Yeah. So, yeah, I would say win-win, right? I don't know exactly where Cabby fits in on this current roster, especially with Demo playing the way he is. So it works out the fact that they needed Luke Rayleigh, and Luke Rayleigh has shown he's been a pretty valuable part of what this current roster is, especially with the hitting of the corner outfield spots. So yeah, I would say win-win. I'd say it works out. I think the Mariners and Rays have done enough business where they're almost in looking for each other's best interests in each trade.
Yeah. The Rays usually don't miss on trades. They usually do pretty well for the most part. What else do we have?
Steve Dayton on YouTube says, quote unquote, dream trade ideas, Devin Williams or Felix Bautista, but they won't get traded. Yeah, I mean, I would love those guys. It doesn't help that Bautista's on the shelf right now. Won't be pitching this year, or I don't know when he's exactly getting back next year. Is Devin Williams healthy?
No, he's not.
He's not either. Okay.
And let's also mention the Brewers and the Orioles are both very good, so I don't think they're trading those guys away. Bautista should be ready by opening day of next year because he got Tommy John, September of 2022 or 2023? So yeah, he should be good by next year, especially because the timeline for relievers to get back is shorter than starters. It's usually closer to 12 months rather than 18. So yeah, I don't think Bautista is going to be back on the field this year. I don't think. I guess there's an outside chance he could get back for the playoffs, but more likely opening day next year.
Right. Oh well, we could dream, Lyle. We could dream.
We
So
can dream.
let's build up the dream. Like Kyle Tucker, Felix Bautista magically has his UCL reappear in August, and he puts on a teal uniform. Then what's a good capper? Let's see what's
Say
good.
that one more time.
What else would be a good capper? Let's see. Oh, Juan Soto comes over and plays corner outfield for the Mariners too. Perfect.
Sure. I won't say no.
No, I won't either.
That guy's a slightly above average bat, just slightly.
Hey, here's another one. Mike Trout gets healthy, and John Ford on Instagram says, "Get Mike Trout. He could be our DH." Well, I also would not say no to that.
I would not say no. I'm just shaking my head at the idea that, dude, the Angels are such a disaster. Why is Mike Trout continuously agreeing to stay there? What do you have left? You've got to see where this org's at. You've got to see with you out, especially the lineup they're throwing out every day, the rotation they're putting out, and the prospects that they have in their system, which is not pretty. What is keeping you there? I'm sure. Yeah. Somebody on Instagram here says loyalty. Isn't there an itch in you to win? Your buddy Shohei left to go win. I don't think anybody would blame you to leave at this point. Just go.
I don't think Mike Trout leaving at this current time would be disloyal. He's spent so long there.
No.
At some point, you have served enough time where you are a loyal person, and it's just time to try something else.
Yes. I agree. Somebody on Instagram, this is GK Holiday. Go get Yamamoto for Emerson Hancock. Yeah, guess what? I'd also love to win the lottery and get $1 billion.
Yeah, then we could both retire. Well, you would retire. I'd keep going.
Sure.
Invest it wisely, Lyle. Let's see. Vlad for Ty, straight up. Yeah, unfortunately, don't think the Blue Jays are doing that. Thank you, though, GK Holiday. It's a fun idea.
So here's a name that's gotten brought up on a couple of our live streams. We can read it again. This is from Aaron Rivers. What would it take to get Mason Miller? I think that now this one would cost a decent amount. I know we said 2.5 years of Helsley wouldn't be a crazy package, and I don't think it would be. And I still don't think trading for a reliever, period, is getting you some insane package, featuring your top 3 prospects or anything like that. But because Miller has so much control, it will cost more. Yeah. So I think the Mariners would probably be more inclined to get somebody with a little less control that wouldn't cost quite as much as Mason Miller. So that's my guess. He would probably cost you a couple of top 10 prospects.
Yeah, he would cost, think of what the Edwin trade package was. I know Jerry was dealing with an inexperienced GM and Brody Van Wagenen when Edwin Diaz was traded, but even as we think of the A's know what that trade cost. And the Mariners would be shipping off a blue chipper that would hurt to get Mason Miller. And Mason Miller has more years of control than Eddie did when Eddie got traded.
Yeah, there's no doubt. What else? We're happy to talk trades, but we don't have to, people. If you got other things you want to drop in here too, you can drop that in here too. Whatever you want.
Which Mariner... This is from Gmo44 on Instagram. Which Mariner is likely to be the biggest believer in crypto? Sauce? ? Biggest believer in crypto.
See, Sauce would be your first thought, but the thing with him is, I think what we're learning about Sauce is he just doesn't really believe or get duped by anything. Because think about it, he thinks Babe Ruth's fake. He thinks the red seat at Fenway Park is fake. He thinks that the fan that caught 2 foul balls from Josh Rojas is fake. He I don't know. Something tells me maybe he isn't a crypto guy.
So here's what I think about this. Do I know who would actually invest the most or try to smartly invest in crypto? No. Don't know if I have a good enough guess on that. But I do think Sauce would be the one that would buy Dogecoin, for example, just for the fun of it. He'd just spend $50 on Dogecoin and be like, let's see where it goes. just to throw some money. For example, my brother, shout out to him, bought some Dogecoin as well. It hasn't turned out well for all the other investors in Doge, but it works out. In terms of actual investment, I don't know. I'm sure some of them do own some crypto. I would be shocked if some didn't own any crypto. They have a lot of money and I'm sure have a lot of money invested in different places. And you take a tiny bit of your portfolio and try something.
Sure. Yeah, that's probably right.
That's a good question.
That is good. Again, feel free to send us fun questions like that. They're always fun. So whatever you guys want.
Yeah, let's get a couple more in here. Joshua keeps saying Jazz as a trade target. Yeah. It could be an option. You're shaking your head. An option.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not saying it's not an option. It is. And maybe you can somehow package him with Tanner Scott because the Mariners need a reliever. Jazz Chisholm would give you a guy who can play second base and would likely probably play left field too. He's not going to play center, but he could probably play left.
Yeah.
He's hitting well this year. He's 115 OPS plus, OPS about 770. Like it is an option for sure. I just don't love the fact that he doesn't walk a ton. He's walking a little more this year, but the profile doesn't feel all that sustainable. Like, he's not a huge hard hit guy. He doesn't have a ton of home run power. He would be fine. I just think they can do a little bit better. I wouldn't be mad if they traded for Jazz Chisholm. I just think they could do a tad bit better.
They could do better, but in terms of realistic, that's the kind of bat Jerry would usually go for, that level of bat.
True, and he's an athlete too for a team that does not have a whole lot of speed right now or a whole ton of upper echelon athleticism. So yeah, in that way it makes sense.
I realized the Mariners overall offensively, Lyle, they're not a good power team. So overall, they're not a good power team, but they're 9th in home runs, which tells you, well, they're lacking somewhere. Yeah, they're dead last in doubles. Speaking of athleticism, it's part of it.
It doesn't shock me, to be honest with you.
No,
it really doesn't.
All right, want to get one more good one in here?
Sure. And then we can call it.
Yeah.
Okay. This isn't the actual last one, but my brother just sent in a question. TJ, what are we doing if Abe returns?
To be determined. Stay tuned.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to say something stupid right now and I get held to it in 2 months. I want to think this through.
Let's see. This is fun. What Mariners position player do TJ and Lyle think they could get a hit off of?
Well, I couldn't have a position player that would try that hard.
Okay, but there have to be a couple of these position players that can't really pitch.
Can I say Bliss? I'll say Ryan Bliss.
Okay.
Mostly because I think he has the weakest arm on the infield. So that works out for all of us. And that's my specialty too, slow pitching, because I was a JV baseball player.
There you go. Who do I want to go with? Do I want to say Ty France? I know a couple of players said
Sauce
Ty.
Was saying Ty could throw.
But Sauce says Rojas can't, even though Rojas plays third base. Yeah, maybe I'll say, you know what? No, I was gonna say Sebi Zavala, but you can't pick a catcher. Catchers have good arms. I'll go with Ty France, sure.
Okay.
I don't know how much Ty can pitch. So
how far are you hitting it?
I don't know. I don't actually think I could leave the ballpark or anything like that.
No,
maybe I can just
a line drive single.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Something like that. Like a line drive single, maybe to left center or something.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, that's a fun question. I like to think of that. Yeah. So sorry, Ryan, but Max Prep says I was a career 300 hitter, so that's what we're rolling with.
Yeah. Gmo asked metal bat. Yes, metal bat.
Absolutely metal. I'm not swinging wood.
No,
I'm not that ripped and not that good either. So there's a reason we talk instead of play.
Right. Is that a good one to wrap on, or do you want to do one more real baseball one to wrap?
Let's do one. Let's do one more baseball one.
Okay. Let's see. Hey, listen, we keep getting Kyle Tucker. Yes, I can't talk. We keep getting Kyle Tucker questions, and I got to tell you, we've kind of covered him already in this show. But I see you guys, I respect you guys, I shout you guys out. Keep speaking it into existence, and you never know what can happen. So let's see what else we got.
Yeah, let's get one more in here. How many home run? Here's a good one to finish with. How many home runs, if we're to predict, will Rayleigh finish with this year?
That's a good one. Okay, so Rayleigh right now is at 6. Let's get this right. Yeah, 6 because he hit one today. So he's on pace for a little less than 20 right now, but he also didn't really hit any in April. I'll say 23.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. About somewhere in the 20 range.
Yeah. All right. So that's a great season for Luke Rayleigh if he does that.
Yeah.
So there's our answer.
Well, that was another good one. Mariners are cooking. Off day tomorrow, and hopefully another good week for the Mariners. It's always good playing the Oakland A's. So again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Marine Lair Podcast, Sunday Night Live, every single Sunday on YouTube and Instagram, 7 p.m. Pacific. Come with questions. We'll talk to you guys a week from today.